pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Becky, if you can do roll call for us, please.
Yes, sir. District engineer,
Here.
supervisor, seat 2,
Here. Is it on there?
chair,
Here. That's
seat 1,
it. Here.
district treasurer.
Here.
For the record, seat 4 and seat 3 have not arrived yet.
Okay.
And the district attorney is outside, he's coming in now.
Understood. Okay, I skipped over B, sorry about that. Mr. St. Doug, would you like to do opening prayer?
Yes, may we all please stand and bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing everyone here today. Let us have a joyful meeting and everyone get home safe. In your name, amen.
Amen.
All right. So do we have any additions, deletions, substitution to the agenda? Megan?
This is for the budget, the final budget workshop.
Okay.
So I don't have anything, just what Mr. Boyd's gonna present.
Okay.
Also one annual fund budget. As far as going over it, go over the tenant. I have worksheets. Basically, we've been over it before. The first page, tentative budget. That shows the prior year carry forward. The last revenue year, $1,203,000.
Hey, how are you? Doing good. How you doing? Oh, good to see you. Good to see
Next page shows same date. Shows following year, what we got. Projected to $499,000. To meet all of our spending. Third page, basically where changes were made in June. June.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the board?
This is the workshop. The board has a workshop in recommend adoption of the tentative budget. The board
Is there, do we have also things? Questions, guys?
go on recommendation.
Keep in mind too that you can continue to amend the budget over time. And when we have a budget item, it's just, we're not going to spend that money. Then certainly you can move it to another account. Or you can reduce an account. Those are called budget transfers. They happen all the time with entities because you can't predict everything. Or if you budgeted $100,000 for project X, 6 months from now something happens, some piece of equipment breaks down, you can say, we're not going to do project X, we're going to take that money, put it to buy this equipment because something we didn't realize happened. And secondly, because we heard from the auditor, we're kind of right at that line of having that nest egg. You don't want to ride that line too close, so you may want to say, we're going to set aside and make up a number, 100,000, 150,000. Set that aside and add back to the rainy day fund. That's your decision, but that's one of the things you need to talk about.
Other questions, comments from the board? So we get a motion to end the regular budget for 2023, 24.
The word, to approve the recommendation.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right, so we have a motion for that. So we have a motion on the floor to approve the tentative budget. Do we have a second? Second. All right, all in favor? Aye. Any against? Motion carries. So I'm right, so feel free to take the wheel or whatever.
Is there any budget?
Was it a public comment? Mr. Chair, do you want to see if there's any public comment before we close the budget workshop?
Sure thing. Does anybody want to fill out a paper and give your comments or concerns? You're more than welcome to fill out a piece of paper. And Becky will turn them in and we'll see if we can answer your questions. Maybe I want to fill in that way. they're filling out those comments, the draft for what you sent out the other evening on the golf course, that resolution. So we need to come up with, as a board, what designated areas, if I read that correctly.
All permits they want to, there's no vote, no. You have to adjourn the workshop.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Just be ready to speak on it,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Adriana, would you like to speak?
Is the budget available to the public, to the residents?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
No
posted,
question.
should be posted on the website.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, John, we don't have anything else you want to convene for a little while, or you want to?
We can go, so you're gonna adjourn public workshop and convene the regular board meeting.
So at this time, we're going to convene with this workshop, budget, and we're going to go into our regular monthly Central County Water Control District meeting.
So, Becky, you can do roll call.
Again,
And by the way, we have something here called opening prayer.
yes, sir. That
We
was
did.
something that was approved.
Okay.
District engineer,
Here.
seat 4,
Here.
seat 2,
Here.
chair,
Present.
seat 3,
Here.
seat 4, seat 1, I'm sorry.
Here.
District attorney,
Here.
district treasurer.
Here.
For the record, everybody present except district manager.
Do we have any, we've already did the president, do we have any additions, deletions to this agenda? Or substitutions to this agenda, John, everybody?
Yeah, yes, yes, yes.
We have addition?
I have something to add
Okay.
today. A handicap pool for the clubhouse.
We want to add that to the agenda.
And
Handicap what?
handicap pool, I mean pool, a handicap pool, a handicap seat, excuse me. I get confused. A handicap seat for the pool at the clubhouse. I try to translate from Spanish to English. Yeah, a lady approached me about that. Also, to hire 2 employees for Central County Water District, because we are short on the employees working over there. So we need more employees for the job that we have to do.
Anything else?
Yeah, for F, I'm gonna, we'll delete F and I'll put it in my supervisor report.
Delete F.
Yep.
And put in the supervisor report.
Yep.
Anyone else?
Okay, so we're adding an I, which is a handicap seat.
Yes, sir. I,
We're adding J, hiring police, so, and then we're deleting F, which will be addressed by Chris Seltz in his supervisor comments. So now the board should vote to approve this amended.
So we get motion on the floor to vote on this amended agenda for this evening.
Motion.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody against? Motion carries. That'd be 5-0 for the amended meeting minutes for the agenda for this evening. At this time also, if you have any comments for our work, our budget, our Central County meeting, please feel free to fill out the cards as well. While filling this paper out, so if anybody has anything, more than that.
We have to approve the board meeting minutes from May
Yes, sir.
June 29th.
Yes, sir. Hold on one second. All right, any of the board members have any questions on the meeting minutes for May 24th, 2023, or June 29th, 2023? Before we have a motion to approve those meeting minutes? No questions. Can we get a motion on the floor to approve the meeting minutes for May 24th, 2023, and June 29th, 2023?
Aye.
We have a motion on the floor by Mr. Santana. We have a second.
Second.
We have 2 seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting minutes for May 24th, 2023, and June 29th, 2023 are approved. All right. Any public comments at this time? Becky, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Gotcha. With that being said, let's go into, we're gonna switch it up a little bit. Boy, let's go to number 5 with the staff reports, right quick. Or do you wanna go into the voting of the things, John? Or should we get our professionals out the way?
That's fine.
The subject matter experts out the way? This time, district manager report. Becky, can you speak on that, the manager's report?
Yes. We have, we're still working on the canals. We're still working on Canal 5, cleaning it out. We have.
Now 5?
Canal 5, yes, sir. We're down by, I want to say, Guinete. And that is off of, by Camino Real.
Got it.
We had a back to school bash, and we had a lot of sponsors come out this year. Actually, we had the Henry County School Board, we had Florida Community Health Centers come out, we had United Way, and we had the United Way. They were partnered with another group. They're all together there. They all came out. They showed their support. They brought supplies for the kids in our community. We still have some backpacks available for the kids in case anyone in our community does it. They're at the clubhouse. They're more than free to come by, pick them up. We have 2 employees. Pedro Rodriguez, which is retired now. And then we have another one that's in the hospital right now. So that's why we're down staff. And we still have 2 positions open though. So now it'll be 3 positions open. 2 maintenance, the highway maintenance, and we have a heavy equipment operator, 1 position open. The other one is still under, he still got FMLA because he asked for it until he recuperates, and then he should be back. We have a lot of signs that have been graffitied. We've reported them. We've had several incidents within the week. We had someone that ran a 4-inch PVC pipe from one side of our swell to the other side to drain out a wetland. That's been reported. You guys got the incident report. And I also have a investigative report number on that as well. Trying to remember off my head. So if you guys know of anything else besides the streets, we're mowing throughout Ventura. Right now, they're off of, they hit most of the main roads. I mean, at the club, it went down, and we were working down Camino Real. So we got 2 more still going. And we had the guys actually playing around the signs, so when they go through, they will, you know, take any of the signs with them.
Anything else? Any questions on the,
Any questions from the board?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So, Ms. Becky, we need 3 employees instead of 2.
There's 3 positions open.
3 positions.
Yes, and they were posted. in the ad, we put the ads out, we were gonna start the interview process, it's been over 2 weeks. And then, I guess you guys will comment on the district manager, so I won't go into detail on that, okay? But that's been posted, we do have, applicants, which we were gonna start interviewing. So,
You send it to the applicants as well.
I'm sorry,
Can you send the applications to the board?
I sure can, I sure can,
I got a question about the mowing.
yes, sir.
I see that you only mow like one side of the road. Is there a way y'all can mow the other side and maintain that? That's still Central County's property to maintain. And
Yes, where after the swell,
Yeah, what's more close to the property line, because I know that a while back, I know that there's water in there, but I know you'll have a sidearm that could get some of that too.
well, that's the boom mower. So the boom mower is currently working on,
Countries.
on Hinete and Camino Real, right, I just stated.
Yeah, I know for quite a few years now, they've never cut both sides. And I think it'd be something good for Central County to pick up on, because it's our responsibility to do it.
You are correct, you are correct. We intend to go back on this try because we've had so many issues with the bigger mowers that we have, which are the 6120Ns.
Yeah.
They tend to get stuck. And the smaller mower is the one that we tend to use off of Avenida del Club, the SCAC mower, because there's so many tree stumps there. But once it dries up, we will go back and finish. Yes, sir. So, yes. Is there any other questions?
I have a question in regard to the you said 3 posted positions.
Correct.
Do they list the salary hourly rate?
We don't. We list what we need. As far as CDL, it is a drug-free workplace. We do the criminal background checks. That's posted just to let the community know. And whoever decides they want to apply for it.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I want to be clear. Mr. Saldana, you're saying to fill, when you say 2 positions, you mean on top of the 3 open positions?
No, sir, no, I thought there were, I thought we were needing 2 positions because we have 1 employee in the hospital and the other one retired. And now I heard there's 3 positions.
How many employees do you have now here on this side of maintenance?
We have, well, currently working
Yes.
with the one that's left.
Minus one, Pedro
And Noel are the 2 that are absent right now. We have 6, 7. Because we had a total, we were completely good, and then, like I stated, we moved one that was in maintenance, and she's a heavy equipment operator 1. She's the one that's running the mower. So that maintenance position became open, and we have the other heavy equipment operator. We had a total of 17 employees with me and Emilio at that time. So in taking us out, now we're down to
15.
6, 7, yeah.
15,
So
right?
we need,
So we were at 15.
so we need 3 employees plus the manager.
Correct.
Okay, so whenever you fill in 3, it'll be 10 on this side, and then the manager makes.
And the 3 at the clubhouse, and then me and the, yeah, so that would be 17, yes. 15. Would it be? Yeah.
3 at the clubhouse.
Yeah, but 10 for maintenance.
10 would be maintenance, that's correct.
Excluding you.
Excluding me,
You, Rosa, and
Me,
manager.
Rosa, and yes. So that's where it's comes 16, yes.
One thing I want to ask about it.
I'm 17.
Don't we have to approve that you agree with the intern manager?
We have about
We haven't
this.
got that.
Oh, okay.
So that's on the agenda.
It's
Oh.
17 total, because Rosa was part of the office.
Where are we at with the grant that we partnered up with the Henry County? Do we have any updates on that?
They're supposed to give me an update now in September, because they told us to give them up to September. That was from the engineer that actually came out and measured and took pictures at Pump 1, Station 6 and 3 of what the grant is for. So I will get the update now in September. And that's directly from the engineers that they're working with in Henry County.
Is there a timeline for that grant? Is there a timeline for that? John, do you know, for example?
I don't know, but I do know this. We got that grant before COVID,
Yes.
and we haven't seen 1 penny.
I'm not worried about
And
that.
that's-
I just want to make sure, well, I
They
am worried about
usually,
that.
they usually have deadlines.
If you
All
could-
grants.
If you could, that's what I'm saying, that's what. So if you could look at the email response that the county sent, and if you fire something on behalf, well, if the board doesn't mind, maybe send something to the county and ask them where we're at with this process, because it's been more than patient.
Yeah, so I'll draft a letter on CCWCD letterhead for your signature. I think it means more when it comes from the board than from me.
Understood.
I'm just hired up.
Just to see if we get a system to get this thing moving, so.
Are we losing money in that process with that grant?
Yeah.
Is there money that we lose through it, or is it, do we even know where we're at with the grant?
Well, they already
Maybe
took
the
their
engineer would
administration.
know. I wasn't really that involved in that work.
Where we're losing money on it,
They were-
cost of everything
Yeah.
going up.
Yeah.
I should,
Take a longer,
construction
longer.
costs. So, it's a good possibility we won't be able to do everything we had in the grant. May not be able to do all that work.
That's almost
increasing.
Yeah, so I guess at some point, we're gonna have to prioritize within all the projects what's gonna be more crucial for us to do,
Yeah.
and then the rest we'll leave it for another grant.
Yeah.
And I guess that's probably a discussion we should probably have, ahead of time before.
Yeah, once if there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, this has been, I don't understand.
Yeah, because the last time they were here, that's what was discussed, the process of getting the grant and then starting the work. And basically Hendry County wants to look over the work that our engineer had done with the management team here to make sure that it was legit and that it was up to code, whatever. And that they were gonna start the process once that was reviewed. And that's what their administration fee was charged. But from there hasn't been any work or any progress from there.
So everything on our end, complete, done,
Yep.
we're just waiting for them.
We were waiting for.
So how much
them
is
to
it
start.
gonna, how much is
1.6 minus the administrative fee, which was like 180,000, it's a for administration, yeah, but
And it's climbing, yeah.
Yeah, so if I can make a recommendation, Mr. Chair, maybe at the next meeting, the engineer can give you all an overview of what was in the plan and paying the grant. And then we can start talking about.
And the shovel-ready products, the shovel-ready projects that were associated with that grant. Refreshes.
In that grant was part of the master drainage plan in there, but that's where you took a lot of the projects from.
We had the road pump station in there. There was some replacement of culverts, some of the roadways that were working on across the road. There was replacing all the bad culverts that go into the canal at the end of the trail. I think that was the main thing. Most of the maintenance items, new items, plant pump station.
Any other questions for Fred? Thank you. Any other questions for the manager's report? Thank you, Ben. We'll move on to the engineer's report. Mr. Benny, that's the board.
Okay. Review all the utility permits that come in. Actually, we've had an increase in those in the last 2 months. Apparently, putting new power lines in, 2 residents that are moving in, new buried telephone lines, and cable TV lines. So, that's picked up. should be about a $5 or $6 million project to fit in parameters of the grant. And parameters would be much higher than that. These others already have a line with on pace and all that. We're in that way more rate that needs to be done. Above what budget guidelines very case. We want to done maybe half. Remember, we didn't think that was as high. That's kind of how we came up with it. We came up with that was the first thing we should do.
It was, what, 2 blocks shorter than Kendall, because Kendall goes from Pinecone to Perimeter, and Dado goes from Pinecone all the way to Honey Club. Not Honey Club, I'm sorry, Appaloosa.
Then the last thing I've got is we're in this C-139 basin, which includes a lot of properties other than Ventura. We have to file a permit every year with them. We monitor the phosphorus level in the canal going into the Everglades. And we got notified just a couple of weeks ago that the whole basin is in compliance with the permit. Below the levels that we have to meet. So I think we have exceeded it 1 year, 2 years ago. Exceeded a couple of years in a row. We have to start doing additional. We're good shape for that.
Mr. Bennett, how does it work with the permits as far as, like, for instance, and I'm assuming with what I see with the cables that they're running, but the underground that goes through our right of ways and stuff like that, how is that inspected, or is it inspected? Because what we're knowing is, what we're seeing is as they're doing culverts and certain things like that, they're hitting a lot of this stuff, and they're coming to find out it's very, very, very shallow.
It's supposed to be inspected, they're supposed to notify us. They go out there and do the work. It's supposed to be located, the cable is supposed to be located within 2 feet of the right of the line, which is on the back side of the soil. They're supposed to be at least 30 inches deep.
How can,
If they're not doing that, nobody's looking at it.
how do we set a precedence, like a form that fills out, hey, by the way, this has got to be checked off by whatever, so we can start, making sure this is happening. 'Cause a lot of people are hitting people's, what we call Comcast, they're hitting phone, they're hitting everything. So how do we put certain, obviously we have something there, but it's not as effective. How can we make something in there?
Becky and I can handle that. It's on the form.
Can you present it to the
Sign
board?
off on it. They must notify us before our advance.
Can you work with John, make sure the numbers is right, the information is what we need, and give it to the board so we can take a look at it? Or just so, again, as people get interrupted and, disturbed, it's painful for all of us.
An old issue that years ago was with calling 811 for no cut. One of the things is that whenever they come to mark it out, the contractors come in and they bury it a couple of feet. Sometimes they put it in the middle of the road, and then whenever we used to grade out the road, we pull up a line. So I guess it's centrally whoever's contracting the contractors out, and then whenever somebody tries to put in a culvert, and then the line's in the middle, they're trying to get a driveway in, and then Comcast or whoever it is has to fight with the contractor, and then between all that, somebody's going to get delayed. And that's always going to be, this is a problem that's been here forever. This has never been checked.
If we review the permits and sign off on it, they're not calling in on it.
If we can start something. Okay. Anybody else have any questions for?
One more question. So if they do kennel, all the culverts that's down through there, is that the replacement that's going to be within the grant, or is that not going to be part of it? Okay. So it'll be a complete haul over.
Any other questions for Mr. Bennett?
If not, thank you, Mr. Bennett. Mr. Boyd, you got the floor.
We have the treasury report in July, which is 10 months out of 12 years. Which first $267,440 is spent. Significant item is we've collected all of our taxes for the year. So we got 2 months. July collections were $882. We're ahead of the prior year by $593,000. That's due to tax increase. So if you look at the next 2 pages, this is our balance sheet as of July 31st. Page that says 3 at the bottom. Primary thing there is we have $1,626,000. That's the bank, primarily the first bank. The important thing is if you go to the second page, it shows that our fund balance, part of this reserve, the auditor went over that, so we can go to the see on page 4, the fund balance, we've got $250,000 reserved for disaster, some equipment purchase reserve, and 3 months of operations reserve. So that's $612,000. So we're basically down to $611,945. Unassigned free. Our budget was raised. It does show that anything proper reserve, we're getting down there. Our budget as far as we're talking about the bank account, even though money is reserved, it's still sitting in the bank. You don't maximize interest on it. Right now, we're getting 4.23 from the first bank, which is the highest local bank in the league. If we look around, the best other thing we can find, it has to be a qualified public depository for their assets, so it may not be against these lower rates. But anyway, what they're offering is 12-month CD at 5.15, money market at 4.95. What that does is, if you put say 500, that would say that their money market would say you can make about $3,750 a year more interest. The CD pays a little more, and it's more that's local banks here, but just that little bit, the money market, you take money in, put money out, and it really fluctuates.
get that information and send it to the board, your board member, so they can look it over and if we have any questions. But definitely, anything else on the report?
Well, if you want to go through let me touch base. The next thing is page 5 and 6, which are monthly financial first page is the revenue. Other than that, as much it shows we get the tax revenue. The second page is a couple of things out there. The question is the report you get every month. It shows the current month, 10 months, month. If you look at column number 1, that's just last month. And it looks at lost 241,000, spent 241,000. However, $71,092 of bottom 2 things payment for our bond. So we don't have to do that every month.
And that bond is for the levy.
Yeah. Twice a year. What I'm getting to, and then at the end of this, before we projected that losing over $600,000 this year, but that was based on how much money we were spending on materials. Cut that off. That's the last couple months. So what I'm saying now is, that one middle number at the bottom says we lost $121,850 so far this year. And it looks to me like, the 1 month of expenditure without the bond in there is about $170 a month. And we got 2 months to go. So I'm looking at maybe we're talking about, unless there's gonna be some more money spent on road materials, it seems like he said it wasn't. Anyway, we may only be down like 500,000 instead of 6. That's the bottom line. Just from not buying the materials now. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Other than, no question, anything.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd. Anybody have any supervisors have any questions for?
Yeah, I do.
Treasurer?
Going back to the saving money market,
Right.
okay? You say you have another bank who can go on a CD with a better interest, right?
Well, it's the same bank. They offered 5.15 on a 12-month CD for 4.95 on a money.
That number's different.
Well, yeah, because you get a little bit more if you're locked in the CD. The money market is totally flexible. You can write, you can draw it out whenever you want, add to it whenever you want.
Now, we don't want to withdraw the money, we want to keep it there.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, honestly, it's almost a no-brainer. So the money market nowadays is paying almost 5%.
Correct.
That's a great return.
4.95.
And you can, it's not take money, you can add money to it every week, every month. If you buy a CD, which is gonna be 0.09,
Right.
which is
Nothing.
nothing. You lock in, you can't add to it, you can't take away, you have a year. So if, the Fed increases rates, money markets go up. They're not gonna go down, they're only gonna go up. You buy a CD, you locked it in. So I will tell you, whatever bank you choose, you gotta put it in the money market. It's crazy not to.
Yeah, they did that here before already with the CDs. Whenever a couple boards back and they got locked in, they wanted to pull the money out. They had to take a huge penalty. Yeah. John, I got a question. Oh, you go ahead.
Good.
You go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say,
Mr. Mata said to send some information out to y'all, and y'all can vote on it at the next meeting. But anyway, I just wanted to bring it up and say that,
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure some board members will have some
Maybe we
questions.
will.
There's always some cons as well, so.
I see the page, right? I was looking for the page, and this was the page, so the page is one back here, right?
Yeah, which page you looking for?
The one we were talking
With
about.
all the expenses on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking at it right now.
Right, yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Anybody have any
So
questions?
we have $500,000,
I'm just projecting, we had talked before about our loss maybe like low 600s or even 700 was done out there, but now we're getting to where 10 months has gone by and you can tell more accurately where you're going to end up. And unless we, go out and buy a bunch of road materials, then it looks like we're down like 500 instead of 600.
sounds good.
Yeah, so that's better.
Any questions for Mr. Boyd?
Yeah, I had a question on page 15, 17, and 20 of the general ledger. It's under other contract service. I noticed that for the Centus Corporation, it shows a payment for 7/6/23, 7/6/23, 7/13/23, 7/20/23. And the reference number's 13155. Yeah, you check numbers, and then if you go to page 17, it shows under, that it shows other contract services, shows the same things there. And then on page 20, it shows the same thing from Centus, same date, same check number. I just kind of noticed it.
Split up. Split between other contracts. Oh, no, take that back. The difference is that the difference breakdown between the general and public, general recreation and roads. So you've got a 10,000 series. That's anyway, it's because it's different departments. So you're gonna take the census bill and say X amount of it belongs to general government, X amount belongs to recreation, X amount belongs to roads. So that same check, I think it'll still end in 556. 10,556. 25,556. That's just splitting it up into different departments.
Yeah, because I seen the check number for 13155 under 10,556, and then it was under 2556 and under 30556.
That's the three divisions. You go forward to the total page, you'll see it all added up together.
Yeah. Another thing that I noticed on page 17 was for the Yoli Zumba, a $300 payment. Because those, I remember them being about $100. I think there's some on here for $100, and then I seen a couple of them for $300. Well, what was that for?
Yeah, so I looked into that. That was because she offered the services for the summer camp. So during summer camp, the price increased, but after the summer camp, the price is gonna go back to what it was.
Is that something the board decided on, or just something that?
That was with, we gave the approval for them to do the Zumba, and that was something that our previous manager had taken into account for the kids. The approval for the Zumba was approved by the board. The additional cost was taken to the day-to-day operation. Yeah, that was something, yeah.
Yeah, I just, on that point, I just think that if the board, if they say it's $100 and that's what it is, whenever stuff like that happens, the board needs to be aware of it. The things the manager, if he makes a decision, and then we see this, it's kind of like, the board didn't approve it, or we don't have it in the budget to go up that much. Just something we have to be aware of. We're already seeing that there's overspending of budget. These are little things that we gotta make sure that we don't allow to happen. Whatever the board agrees on, it needs to stay in place, and if there has to be something amended to it, then it should come in front of the board and say, hey, this is what we have going on.
what is the catch for the money market bank to take over time?
Well, the balance,
Remember, what's the, you say it has to be a specific bank?
well, I mean, different banks offer different things, and it's not qualified public depository.
Oh, that's what it,
Yeah, that means it's guaranteed by the state of Florida, that assets. It's the only kind of amount that's qualified public depository.
So does it have to be a local bank in the state or to be out of state?
Has to be a federally chartered bank. It could be out of state, but when you look at rates right now, most banks are money market. 4.8 to about 5.2. Everybody, even like Fidelity, everybody's in that range because they're deals. So there is a very tight range right there.
I don't know if it's a requirement, but it may be Florida bank, Florida-based bank, because of the part of the Florida qualified area. But the big banks are qualified for the there's a list that the Auditor General puts out of all the qualified depositors. We've never gone outside this.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Mr. Moore? On the board? If not, thank you, Mr. Moore, for your report. Mr. Romero, you ready for your attorney report?
Yeah, honestly, everything on my report is the agenda. So OVID, solutions contract, resolution, district manager contract, job advertisement, job description, the golf court, health park ordinance. So if we go over the agenda, I'm going to handle most of the items that's what's in the report.
Okay. Anybody have any comments or questions for the attorney? That being said, we'll move on. We'll go on to number 4, old and new business. If I'm not mistaken, we haven't covered anything. Discuss and vote on the revised updated district manager job description and job advertisement. Mr. Ferrer, you have that one?
Yes, sir. So, on Monday afternoon, I received a call from Emilio where he advised me that he was resigning effective that day. And so I sent you, that evening, I sent you all an email. In that email, I kind of laid out what needs to be done today. I attached to the email the employment agreement for the district manager. I went ahead and did a little research and put together a job description for the position. Even included things like financial and budget manager in the job description, and also took a crack at a advertisement for the position. So as I mentioned to all of you in the email, the first step is for you to initiate a recruitment process for that manager. In my experience, assuming everything goes perfectly, the recruitment process will easily take 3 to 6 months. It's not going to happen from one week to the next. You've got to do public advertisement, and you've got to talk about that process as well. So, and then one of the items here is also to, in this interim period of time, which will easily be 3 to 6 months, we're going to need to appoint an interim manager to keep the day-to-day business of the district going. So we can just take these one at a time. Sure. So, and also for one more thing here is the whole interview process. So, because we're a public agency, doing interviews is a little tricky. So, there's 3 options. that most governments have when they're doing interviews. Option one, and you're all gonna do it at once, is you have the interviews at a publicly noticed meeting. That's not done very often because when you have an applicant, and you have an audience, to really have a candid discussion, you can't do that in a public meeting. That's option one. Option two, it takes extra time, but you have the candidate meet with each of you individually. So for example, I was interviewed for a job at the Port of Palm Beach last year and a half ago. And what they did is they invited all the commissioners, just like you, elected officials. They put them all in a different room. It's 5 commissioners. There were 3 candidates for the job. And we would go meet with a commissioner for 30, 45 minutes. When we're done, go to the next commissioner in individual offices. It's kind of a round robin. And then in that process, of course, they have a human resources. So human resources is what's called the first cut. Get applications. A lot of times, I post a job for an attorney, and I say minimum 5 years experience with Florida bar license. And I'll get over 100 applications, and half of them will be from kids who haven't even graduated law school, so they don't have a bar license. People that don't have 5 years experience, or lawyers from out of state, because they don't even, it's like they don't even read the ad. You're probably gonna get a lot of unqualified persons. So another option is to appoint a person or a committee other than yourself. Or you could appoint, can't be 2 or more, it has to be 1 of you. It could be, for example, 1 of you and the manager, the interim manager. It could be, 1 of you and someone else to do a first cut. In other words, to look at the applications, no interviews. Does this person have the minimum qualifications for the job? Have they worked at Publix all their life? Yes, no. Nothing wrong with working at Publix, but that's not going to help in this job. So, those are the options. You're going to have to, you don't have to decide that at this moment. What you really need to focus on today is appointing an interim manager, and then secondly, approving an advertisement and a job description. So that, and then we gotta get the advertisement out, we can put it up on the website, we can put it in the local newspaper, which I think only comes out once a week,
Sorry, the newspaper.
the paper. The newspaper.
Yes, the next one, if I do it, it'll go in Tuesday and they'll post it on Thursday.
Yeah, and any other means, we could post the job, put it, tell family, friends, get the word out. It's, it's, anywhere you live, it's hard to recruit. It's still a tight job market. And Henry is even harder. So to get really qualified person, if you look at the jobs, I put a lot in there, maybe too much. We need to take a look at it. But we need to, that stuff needs to be done now. At the next meeting, the meeting after, we can talk about how you want to handle coming up with a short list of candidates, number 1, and number 2, doing the interviews.
Any questions, board on this? Supervisor, comments, questions?
Okay, let me ask a question. Can you do a panel interview that, not going through a different, hospital itself, 3 or 4 panel interview,
If there's 2 or more of you in the same room, it's got to be a public meeting.
Well, I like the opportunity to do round robin, 5 different areas. Let's just say, for instance, we had 10 candidates. We'll be busy going around, for everybody takes notes on each candidate, ask all the candidate questions that they need to. And then at the end, is there going to be, I would assume there would be some type of scoring
Yeah.
evaluation.
Yeah, we would come up with a score sheet. Maybe you pick 3 3, 4, 5 categories, you know, experience, score 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. Education, leadership, management experience. We have time to play with that, on the recruitment. You want to throw a wide net, and you want to keep it out there as long as possible to attract the biggest pool.
One question that I have is that, I've been reviewing the employee manual. There's a lot of stuff there that doesn't make a lot of sense and it kind of contradicts each other. And that's one of the things that I have on the agenda, but I took it off and I wanted to touch on that point. That there's something that I believe that we as a board need to go through it and, you know, probably amend certain things or change some of the stuff within the book. And prior to somebody coming on to where it's like the thing with the records keeping and stuff, that's an issue that we had with the last manager, that he wasn't keeping up with some of that stuff. The overtime wasn't being accounted for. So then whenever the new manager comes in, they're very much aware that everything has to be documented. You know, something that if you're gonna mow a certain street, just don't say mow grass. Be more defined.
Transparent and detailed.
Yeah, so you're right. The employee manual is old, and every 10 years it's tinkered with. Not wholesale. I remember maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago, the chair at the time wanted to rewrite just a few sections, and it was a mess.
Yeah.
The best thing to do is either burn it and start from scratch. It's unfixable if you've gone through it. I would recommend that if you hire a good manager and someone with management experience, that could be their first project, is to pull something together.
How would that, so, because my concern is whenever they sign a contract, you know, I know that there might be some things that they have to fall under, maybe the employee manual. It's to where it doesn't, you know, contradict their contract or vice versa. 'Cause I know their contract is their own contract, some of it's separate, but, just to make it a little bit more better for, because like one of the things is like for the holidays, I know that they've been taking Juneteenth off and it's not even on there. And, you know, that's one issue, on top of a lot of other stuff, but I think it's something that really needs to go through. So then whenever the manager comes on, if he goes through it, he or she, whenever they go through it, you know, it doesn't scare them, because if we tell them, well, we're gonna change this employee handbook, it might maybe change something for them. I mean, most likely not, because their contract's gonna be locked down to what it says, but.
Right. Yeah, just to do it right, you're saying needs to be done. And to do it right, you have to have an HR professional spend 50 to 100 hours pulling that together. I mean, it's not something you do over the weekend. It's a major effort. I'm a lawyer, I think having documentation is always
Well,
a good
they-
idea. I'm not a-
That way we.
They do have the daily logs. That's what I raised at the last meeting, but the problem is whenever we have employees putting a little bit of everything, that's what they did for the day, that's a
Yeah,
big issue.
but let me tell you, there's no employment manual in the world that will fix that. A manager will say, that's not acceptable.
Correct,
You don't need a manual for that.
yeah. And I just think that's something the board as a whole, that's something that they should drive towards, or that
So
transparency.
when you recruit, you're gonna say, have you supervised a crew of 10 or more?
Yeah.
Because he's supervising one person is good experience. Two, a little better. And if that's up to you to set your priorities. And keep in mind too, the more qualifications you put in, especially like managing 10 or more, you're looking at a 6-figure salary. There's nobody's gonna come here and with that experience level for $80,000.
And I had a question, the prior manager, every year did his contract have to get re-signed by the board? I think I seen that within there somewhere. No, how was his?
The way it was written, you could fire him anytime you wanted to, and he could leave.
But every year did they have to go through his contract and re-sign it, or?
No, that's very unusual. So whether you're a county
Yeah.
manager or city manager, You
Yeah.
can either have a term, but if you do it every year, that's
Yeah, 'cause-
again, most managers wouldn't sign that contract.
Yeah, because
If I move my family here, you're gonna tell me, you're gonna look under every, again, for the right price, salary keeps going, more risk, more money.
Yeah, because I noticed on the original one that was made out, he was at 65,000, then he moved up another 10, 15,000.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, and you think, that's why I was asking, because.
No, it's in there. It's in there. So for example, you and I can sign a contract, but if I say I can fire you on 30 days notice,
Yeah.
why do I need to renew it? That's what this contract said. I think it was 60 days. But
Yeah.
it said he could resign,
Yeah.
but if he didn't give us notice, which was the case here, he forfeits all of his accrued sick time,
Right.
sick leave, annual leave, all of that.
Yeah, my question is the financial part, because he started off at 65 and then he was given a raise.
Correct.
So then, that's why I was asking if a
So
new
the
contract.
contract said
Yeah.
that he would enjoy the same COLAs and raises as the staff.
And I just wonder if it's something that the managers every year, if it's something that every time that there's something changed as far as the, a $10,000 raise, that's a big raise. If it should reflect, on a new contract every year, what is it that they're getting, so then, it's good for the manager. And then everybody knows what's kind of going
And
on.
listen, that's up to you to negotiate with the new person, but
It's good policies to put in
you can
place.
ask for anything you
Yeah.
want, but just understand, the more you want and the more risk, the more you will have to pay to get a competent person.
Yeah, but it's just more for the board, so then we stay on top of what's going on.
Can I say something in regards to the 10,000 you're talking? Because the board is supposed to do an evaluation yearly,
Correct.
and they didn't. And so what happened was that they honored him for that he didn't really, he got the 3.07 of whatever, we all got the COLA, but that was it. And he was never evaluated for a couple of years. So at one of the meetings over there at the clubhouse was when Mr. Benny Alvarez and the chair and some of our supervisors, they all agreed to give him a raise right then and there.
Right.
And that's where the $10,000 came in.
Yeah, because it was prior to because I know that he was given the raise prior to having an evaluation, then after they gave him the 10,000, they was going to do an evaluation, which it should have been the evaluation, then,
But
make it right.
that's why I wanted to, explain that.
Right, yeah,
Mhm.
I was worried that it's just
Okay.
where we get on the same page that, there's a lot of loose ends here with a lot of stuff, especially on our side, that we really need to clean up a lot. We have a lot of loose ends.
We just want, what about if we want to hire this lady, that position? She's been there for a long time, she knows the whole thing, she has the qualification.
You can do.
We have to still go through
You
this.
guys are in charge.
We still have to go through this.
You don't have to go through a process. I honestly recommend that you do. You don't have to. But when you go through a process, you're being open and transparent and saying, hey, we want to see what's out there. It may be that Becky is the best. I don't know. The old saying, unless you look under the hood, you don't know what's there. So the whole thing about the review, in the end, you decide. But if you go through a process, you see what you have. Listen, maybe a superstar comes here and maybe what you get, based on what we've done in the past, is ridiculous. The ones I've seen has been pathetic.
I'm saying that because I have seen Becky go to employees and all that, and she has very good relationship with employees, and she goes to law, and she has a career, and that's why me, personally, I think we a choice to go as Mr. Howard.
She could always put her name in.
Mr. Ferrer, how do we go forward, so with this, what do you need?
So look, I sent you the job description. You can, I don't want you to do anything off the cuff.
Sure.
If you want to have some time to review it, remember, we don't have to have a meeting. Any one of you, I speak to all of you on a regular basis. Call me. Send me an email saying, here are my comments, here are my questions. So that when we get back together, I'll get all those comments and, incorporate it. So, between now and the next meeting, look at it, give me comments, edits, whatever. That would be great.
Good.
And then, so another thing, you do need to appoint an interim man. That's
That's with A first,
right?
right? So is that, yeah, so we finished with A?
Yeah, well, it's part of.
So just gather
Yeah.
information and get it to you, and then wait for you to give it to us, right?
Yes, sir.
My question, I didn't get the question about A. Are we just advertising that on the newspaper? Or is that being advertised
What
like on
channel?
Indeed, Link?
Yeah, so I recommend you advertise it in as many places as possible. Everybody today, like you said, uses Indeed
Yeah.
and LinkedIn, and it's cheap. So I highly recommend that we use all those sources.
Okay.
How are you gonna close out A, John?
So I think appointing an interim manager,
That's B.
well, be a recruiter.
Gotcha, good, yeah. Okay, so anybody on the board, how should we temporarily fill this interim position until we get it figured out with the manager's position? How's the board looking on that?
I believe we should be making the position. As an interim, then we should prepare as a month.
We're talking about interim.
Well,
Yeah, I think we should put her as the intern, but also having done intern work comes with an increase in pay temporarily as well for her overseeing the position and the district. I was reviewing some of the notes when this happened prior of the increase. John Boy, I know that this has happened before where we had an intern and there was a pay increase as well.
Yeah, there was a pay increase while they were active.
Yeah.
Not maybe up to the full amount.
No, of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's what happened under me.
Yeah.
The idea that if they appointed somebody else permanent, wouldn't necessarily stay there.
Yeah, of course.
Get back to the system.
So I think that's what we need to look in that direction, to be fair across the spectrum, as she'll be overseeing the district, and the office until we can fulfill that position. I think that's well deserved and
I agree.
respected.
So how much is she making?
Before that, any other board members have any questions on interns?
No.
Anybody, go ahead, what's your question, sorry?
How much is she making now? How much is she making?
I'm not sure.
It's on the research page. It's always in the page.
So, that's page.
In the money section, in the,
Right here.
27 an hour?
in this
How much is new?
intern process, John. So if we make somebody an intern, then we start the process, right? We start the process. Do we set a timeline, say, okay, we're gonna open it for 2 months, 3 months, whatever, cut it. After that, try to make it like a short list, vet it out, and then start the panel or however we want to
Yeah,
make this happen.
that's item B, which is the actual recruitment. What I'm hearing now is we're going to do Indeed, LinkedIn, local paper, website. But what I sent you on Monday is the advertisement. So take a look at that. Like, for example, there's 2 schools of thought. There's one school of thought that says, if you post a job and don't put a salary range, you're wasting everyone's time. True. There's another school of thought that says, no, I never put a salary. I don't know what's right, but they say that if you put a salary range, that you're more likely to attract.
What about with headhunting? I know some people,
Yeah, so my business, we use headhunters, but they charge 20 to 30% of the first year's salary.
understood.
That's a nice change. And honestly, I've never met a great one. Okay. None of the others.
And also, remember that we are getting to the holidays. You know, September, October, December, you know, which is gonna be,
Busiest time.
tough time to hire somebody to make a change. So, the sooner we can, post that.
The sooner the better. And you're right, it's a double-edged sword. So some people, depending on what they're doing, they like waiting until the end of the year. They get a bonus of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, things like that. So yeah, January is like primo time for people pulling the trigger and going from one to another. So, you know, I think it'll work out.
All right. So do you need the board to vote on an interim, right?
So two things.
Yes, sir.
Vote on an interim and I think agree with Mr. Santana that it's appropriate, it's been done before, is a temporary increase to reflect their greater duties and responsibilities.
So that being said, is there a motion on the floor to make Becky Hernandez the interim manager and also compensation with that until we find the district manager and look at the whole process? We have a motion on the floor.
Aye.
We have a motion on the floor. We have a second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody against? 5-0. We have that approved.
In the temporary,
I made it mention,
how much?
whatever, what you didn't say there.
Let's get her out.
It's 56,
She's making 56,
A lot of,
No, she say no, she say no.
No, remember, it's half of what the, manager was making, then half of that, so it would only be $10 increase to what I make right now.
$10?
Yeah, cause he was only making 41.
So you'll be at $37 an hour?
Yes, sir, until the new manager comes in.
Sounds good.
That's what the breakdown was for Herminio when he came on board.
I was just saying what
I only make 27 an hour.
so let me ask you this, John. Hold on, let me ask you this, John. And she might not accept it, it's fine, you know. I know it's a lot of people, they do it on a percentage. Hey, by the way, you know, carry these extra duties, you know, we're offering whatever percent. So, how do you, what do you think? What's the board thinking, actually?
She has the right to object. And if
course,
she objects to that,
I'm not saying
then
that.
we have no overhead.
I'm not saying
I
anybody
had that
can
exact same issue in our company.
Anybody can reject that, that's fine. No problem.
So look, how much you making a year?
56,000.
56? I believe we should give her $10,000 increase.
But no, she's not gonna be working for a year.
Yeah.
We really need to look at it hourly. She's only gonna be doing this.
Temporarily.
I want to see how much she making.
27.
Yeah. So one of the other things I want to ask the board too, you know, is if we want to go through with the pay increase and stuff like the overtime, because that's going to be a whole nother thing.
Well, that was something I was just gonna bring up as well. Overtime for her is that's gonna be no brainer. We have all of the events and everything coming up. This is the most busiest time of Montoro.
When we got to get the overtime down.
The only other thing I can think of is we not speed through it. She's been here under Emilio running the district. There are things that were brought to our attention last workshop, and this meeting of policy changes, bylaws to be revised. I think that's all stuff that the board isn't agreeing to. And if it's a money thing and an overhead issue, we appoint her I have done in our company, you appoint her as temporary district manager on a probation period. If the board feels it's not the right fit, then we go back to the drawing board or looking.
I agree.
So can we just,
And she'll go straight to
Right.
salary.
so I think one thing that we need to do moving forward is documenting all overtime. Because that's one thing that I know I brought up a while back was the manager and the assistant manager never had to document what they do on a day-to-day basis, but then whenever we see, 40 hours of overtime for the assistant manager, something that needs to be documented,
And that's that is a legitimate policy that the board can agree to and be adapted in there from her or, her predecessor and onward, even us being, replaced and stuff. That policy's written in stone, that overtime is documented from the manager below. I think that's something that can be.
So even moving forward with this, I think that's something that we need to do just to keep up with what's going on. I mean, it should have been done regardless, but it doesn't matter. We're here now, and if whatever moves forward with this, that's something that really needs to be in there. And it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Let me ask you another idea. About any overtime that she incurred while we go through the process, to keep that as a comp time, if we should take it.
To comp?
Correct.
I don't know. Can we do that? Can we do comp time?
No, because then you have federal labor laws if you're working more than 40 hours a week. So, I'm no math wizard, but I think it's about
We're chopping it up.
$10 more an hour is about 37% increase over what she makes now, right?
So it'll be 36%.
36%.
$37.
I think that's what's.
But that's not, but that wouldn't be on a year, that wouldn't be over a year, correct?
Oh, no, that'd be however long it takes for you to make up.
And that's the thing. We can't suffer with manager coming, manager leaving, manager coming, manager leaving, because from history, it's just downhill spiral from there. So I think we have to come up with a great tactic plan today, but something to move forward with.
So let me
That's
ask,
in stone.
let me ask you on this intern position, would that be still hourly or would it be salary?
Well, actually, that's a great question. I think he's asking a good point.
If she's interning,
Because the manager, that's a very good question.
Yeah, if she's interning just as that position now as the assistant district manager, not as the manager, she has to get paid hourly what she gets paid now. Now, if we were to appoint her as the interim manager until we find a replacement or we keep her after a 90-day period, then that's different. So if we say right now, we're gonna appoint her as the interim manager for 90 days, if we see, we're gonna vote after those 90 days to keep her. If not, we're gonna look for an applicant. Those 90 days, she's on salary, because she's basically the manager. Now, after those 90 days, if we say, it didn't work, Becky, thank you, we want you to stay as the assistant manager, she'll go back to what, the $36 an hour, and we look for an applicant as well. So we have those 90 days looking, and then we have the 90 days
It's gonna take
after
more than
that.
90 days.
So it's gonna take,
Everything.
yeah.
So one of the things that.
But I'm not sure, so you're saying if she's interim manager, she'd be salaried, not hourly?
But she will be under probation.
I don't
She'll
know.
be
Yeah,
at
so we-
77,500 and $10 to 27.26.
Yes, but she can
That-
still
there's-
accumulate overtime.
Okay, that's different now.
If we get hit with a hurricane, because we are in hurricane
Understand.
season, and she's interning as the assistant district manager overseeing the district with the $36 an hour, she can accumulate overtime because she's interning for the position. She doesn't have it. Now, if we say we're gonna appoint her as the interim manager of the district, now she's on his, whatever he has,
Salary.
for those 90-day period.
Yep.
So she can't accumulate overtime if a hurricane happens.
Yep.
So if we call her, hey, pumps need to be running, she has to go turn on those pumps,
No salary.
and there's no overtime.
That comes with the pay raise.
Yep.
But this is the thing too, Mr. Romero, and like Chairman said, I know we had the discussion about, her being assistant manager, and I know she accumulates a lot of overtime. And, her being assistant manager, if we should shift towards salary pay with her, figure out what the increase would be, and then shift to that. Because, where the overtime is, it's a lot of overtime. So maybe it'd be something good for us to even start looking at, because wouldn't most assistant managers be on salary because they're always gonna be on call, or, or anybody has an idea about that?
Because right now, I'm the assistant regional for our company, and I'm on hourly. Because I wouldn't agree to the contract.
I'm an assistant where I work at, and I'm on salary. I give them 100 hours, shit, I give them
Yeah.
more than that, excuse me. I give them more than that.
Or you think it's something that maybe should be considered? 'Cause I mean,
Definitely, it's,
somewhere we
it's
have.
up to the board, that's why I'm asking, it's a tough question, but I'm asking because it needs to be.
So Santiago,
There
you wanna make a motion?
doesn't need to be any gray areas. But if we are gonna put somebody on salary, again, like for instance, the season that I'm in right now, they win all day long, but again, I agree to that, correct? So
Yeah.
that's the thing about salary positions, we agree to that. But at the same time, they need to compensate for that. So if you think about moving that into a salary position, there definitely has to be some compensation, and there definitely has to be some agreement as well.
Could they go to 37 and stay hourly? I mean, you think that that'd be something better go to a salary?
And the reason for that is because we're down tons of people right now. We're down tons of people, we have a lot of projects going on, we have a lot of things going, so it's gonna accumulate, and it is what it is. I agree.
That's why it's a good idea for people.
You're worth your, you know, you're worth what you think you're worth, but we have to make some type of call on this, so.
Let me ask you, let's go back to to my first question, the comp time. City of Fort Lauderdale. Anything that was overtime, you can put in comp time and use that whenever you need it without touching your PTO or your vacation time.
So let's,
You had to use comp time, I was in government too, but you had to use it within the pay period.
And within a year, have to be used within a year, calendar year.
And then it's use it or lose it.
Correct, you have to use it within calendar year,
so
without touching your vacation or your sick time.
So here's the downfall to that comp time. Let's just say, for instance, myself with work comp time, and I have all these hours, and then you reach out to me. Why are you reaching out to me? I earned this comp time. I'm gonna take my 2 months. We say that now. We say that now, but then when it hits the wall, hey, I need you here. I need you here. So
Well, that's the thing, so comp time, we have 800 employees. People are backing people, you have such little staff. We can't, she's gotta be here. She can't say, hey, I acquired 30 days of comp time, see ya, you know. That's not, that's
more
we have a
challenging
big,
for a small
we have a big staff, a big agency.
Could the comp time be cashed out?
You should go for it.
Could comp time be cashed out? Because I know that they can cash out 50% of their time.
No, that's annual leave or sick leave, there are
Yeah.
percentages, but, you know, comp time is a usually, well, usually it's use it or lose it. Yeah, so far, but, so here's another proposal. Just throwing out an option. Because I think, you know, if a manager's a manager, you're gonna hold her to a manager.
Of course, yeah.
It should be salary.
Sure.
But, you might as well get, whatever, a medium.
I agree with that.
Whatever that was, but then that's her salary. So if you have a 30-hour week or a 50-hour week, that's the salary.
Yeah, but, so my thing is that Emilio's salary was based from, so you gotta look at from where he began to where he's at. So if Emilio would have been here another 8 years, where would he have been salary-wise? So now you have somebody that comes in, and so that's what last manager was, but that last manager had to build himself up to that. So it's kind of like, you know, we have to.
Well, we corrected that. We corrected that because when he came on board, he was underpaid. And I actually looked into that. I brought that up. So any manager that comes into the district automatically starts at where Kelly started because that's where the issue started at 80, just flat. And then from that point on is when we do the increase. Because when Flacco came from the clubhouse, the board that was here just appointed him and put him on salary at the bare minimum. And then for a couple, it was a year, what, 17, 18, 19? For those 3 years, there was no increase. Then there was a short increase, and then on 2020, the first meeting that I was on, it was brought up to the board's attention because I looked at it and I said, how come all the previous managers started at the 80 mark, but you didn't? So then that's when the board voted to increase him to the 10,000, and that's when he went right to 80. And then there was just an increase recently.
But it's still something we need to look, I mean, we still need to figure out the numbers.
I agree with that.
And trust me, in this recruitment, you're gonna be, you know what the
Oh,
job
no,
market is.
I know, it can get up to 90,000, maybe more.
Oh, for
It just depends on the
They meet
qualifications.
what I have in this
certification.
job description, it'll be more than that. It's someone who knows how to drive a tractor and manage a budget, and manage 1,000 people.
So that goes,
Budget number one.
right, and that goes right back to the point, you know.
So can we make a motion for as temporary manager?
You already did that, you already appointed her as manager, now you gotta figure out how much you pay her. Like you all
No, but
agree,
I'm saying
we should make more.
To put her in the position that is established.
So as the interim manager for the 90-day period, and then after the 90 days, we make our decision.
That's what I'm talking.
What media right now on the base salary is $83,782.
That was with the increase.
That's just what it's like right now.
Yeah.
I think payroll. She did 77.5 for the $10 raise. It's between 83,782 and 77.5.
83, so it's a $6,000 difference on an annual basis.
Yeah.
So for 6 months, we're talking about $3,000.
Could we just ask back to, you know, what you're thinking? Like, I mean, that's probably the best thing for us to do is ask what she thinks and then go from there. Because it'll cut out a lot of the stuff that we're even talking about before we get to something.
I'm honored. Again, I just want it to be fair, okay? I know you guys always look at my overtime, okay? But I do a lot of the background that nobody sees for our main events. That's where a lot of mine comes in, and in the coverage in the office. So I get it. I really do get it. Again, if I say, well, I'm gonna do the 37 and no overtime, then I have to accommodate a lot of the events that are coming up, and we don't have the overhead. I try to do a lot of things in-house to save money because we don't have the funds to do these big events that are coming up, which is a 5K run. I can't take time off either during this period because we have 2 grants that we're working with and several that they're looking to start. And I'm one of the main people that are on with them. So again, and that's me giving my time. And I'm more than happy to do that because this is the first time that we have almost 3 grants that are coming in to Central County with major money, 1.6, 4.4, and these are things that we chase. Well, I get updates on grants and I send them to Fermero to see what we could do with them. Why? Because we need the money in our community. So people don't look at the background of what we're doing, you know, and that's part of my job, you know, and that's what I've took it on. And I appreciate that and I like it. So again, I'm gonna leave you guys to the numbers. I mean, again, I will do whatever it needs to continue to run our community. Our guys are great. They all work together. I don't have any issues with them. If I send them to go pick up trash, they'll do that. If they cut trees, they'll do that. So it's gonna keep running. Central County will continue to run.
Yeah.
I just need, you know, whatever the board is, I know this is part of the process.
Yeah.
I am a certified district manager. I did take my CDM through the Florida State University. So again, I have my qualifications. But the board, if you've seen most of our major events, that's us in the background. So whatever you guys decide, you know, if I disagree, I'll be like, that's kind of, you know.
Yeah.
But again, again, I said that because that's what they did with El Nino, which was the 10. You know, so rather, I mean, I guess, however you guys want to do it, I mean.
I believe that, with Emilio, if I'm not mistaken, with that, he was on salary.
No, he wasn't. No. After they awarded him. But while he was the intern manager, he did everything we did. He accumulated his regular hours. He was not comp time at that time. They had to treat him as a regular employee but he was over. Because he was making only $17 at the time as the manager at the clubhouse. So when he came over, that's where it came, and now when they offered him the position in October, they bumped him to 65. That's the baseline, plus full coverage of health insurance for his whole family. Because they changed the health coverage for all the employees, only for the employee that comes in, we cover full coverage. Now the family's not covered. Before,
Pedro and Emilio, they was eligible for it because.
correct, because it was prior to the change, correct.
So board, let's figure out what we want to present, and then if she accepts it, great, if not, so be it, it is what it is, and figure out something that has, what do we,
So we can move. Can we make a motion, make her, this manager temporarily for 90 days? After 90 days, we decide that they're permanently, they will move on. Like Santiago says. Okay. Well, you want to make a motion?
Your choices. You make your business manager to the time. Check with somebody else.
Well, he's saying something different. He's saying, let's put her on a probationary period for 90 days. If she does well, we'll make her permanent.
but he can't make that motion,
I am asking if we can.
he's telling you, we can't go over that, that's all.
Good question.
So what do we propose as a board, what do we see, so he can, reach out to Becky and see it from?
Can I put some brackets on this? So she's gonna be doing two jobs. Her current job and the manager job. So if she does those well, by definition, every week she'll be working more than 40 hours. You agree?
Well, she's already working more than 40 hours already, just within her position.
Well, even if she wasn't,
Yeah.
we do two jobs, it's not gonna be 80 hours, but it's gonna be more than 40.
I know what he needs.
So, I see two options. One is whatever Emilio's hourly rate was, pay her that because she's doing his job and her job. Don't look at it as he's just doing her job. She'll be doing both jobs.
Yeah.
So you're actually saving money for some period of time. So that's one option. And that's salary, so no matter what hours she works, that's what she gets. And again, I gotta believe she's gonna literally consistently, week after week after week, work more than 40
Yeah.
hours. Option two is to do something less than that, but hourly. When you do that, you have no idea, there's no way to budget for it, because you don't know what that number is gonna look like. That number one week maybe here, the next week here, the next week here. Personally, from a management standpoint, I like salaries. And I pay her what Amina's making today. I think it's good for her. Whatever that is, 40,
83.
84,000 an hour.
It's $40.28.
$40.
For a period of time.
Yeah, it's legal. It's only when you make a decision.
To make it permanent.
Yeah. And I don't know, Becky, if you would accept that, Nino's hourly, as a salary, whatever that is. Treasurer working on the numbers now.
Like you see on the share here. This is your share. This is your share now. See it over here.
It would be $40, like 48 cents.
Like 40/24.
So there's two options we gotta talk about.
Questions, comments? We should go with 40/28.
So we have
Same salary that we meet. Estamos aquí.
for how long?
Until you become permanent.
So you choose the manager.
To hire, man.
Hire.
we make her permanent.
It could be her, but we haven't even started the application process.
Anything else?
The only question I have is that if I do the salary, do I then acquire comp time in my interim?
So let me ask you, because I didn't, so you have comp time now?
No,
No.
because I'm hourly. But you're offering me a salary without the comp.
There's no comp time, it's salary.
It's just gonna be salary.
It's a salary, it's a salary.
Comp time is good when you have a couple of hundred people, but let's face it, let's say, which I think you will, in 6 months, you have a month of comp time. I don't think we can do without you. That's even with a manager. That's why they use comp time when they're big agencies, and you got hundreds of people. So there's always someone back on something. When they're so small,
That's the reason for a salary. There's certain perks and benefits for like comp time and stuff like that. When you sign something like that, it's a wash, so to speak. But there'll be some weeks that you win, there'll be some weeks that you lose. However this time period is until you find somebody. So it's a process.
It is a huge increase. I mean, it's.
I know, I'm just, again,
I know, but I know what's fair is fair. You know, you got 27 to 40. I mean, it might be 3 months, it might be longer if you end up becoming a manager. So, you know, sometimes we have to give a little more to get.
I get
But you don't have to accept it.
Yeah.
It is what it is. We'll figure out something, we'll find something. We'll offer it to you. If you're willing to accept it, great. If not, it is what it is. We'll figure out somebody to run the day-to-day. We got for this. First and short. You need time?
huh?
You need time to think about it?
No. I would agree to the salary. I wouldn't want our crew to go in someone's hands that's never worked here and don't know the day-to-day. I'm sorry, I'm just,
So, if I'm not mistaken, the motion is to compensate Becky as the intern at Emilio's pay rate just for the time being until we find a permanent district manager.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. So we have a motion on the floor for that.
Motion.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Aye.
All in favor?
All right.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right. 4-1. Waiting on Mr. Romero, so we can talk about this, the draft golf cart resolution. Mr. Romero, we're down to C, discuss and vote on the draft golf cart resolution/policy.
yes, so you should have in your backup, and I sent you a copy of this a few days ago, the golf cart. So before I get to this morning I had a call with the Andrew County Attorney. Because the way that, so, there was a change in the law, 2023, which allowed us to do this. Right. So the change in the law, which is pretty much the restrictions I have here are what's in the law. pretty much. Hendry County, at the same time I've been working on this, Hendry County is working on their own golf cart ordinance. So I spoke to the county attorney this morning, and also the law requires the county to approve what we've done, make an assessment of what we've done. So basically, our engineer, this is the county attorney's ask, our engineer worked with the county engineer to make, the law requires that you make a safety determination that using golf carts on these roads with these restrictions is a reasonable and safe means.
Let me ask this question. So, when I went to the Florida Association of Special Districts, this was actually brought up. And I actually spoke with 6 attorneys about this. Because we're, yes, 6 attorneys.
Wow.
Because we're a special district, the county can't, even though we're within the county can't say what we can do within on our roads of our district. Because we signed over the agreement to the sheriff's office to patrol. That was what 3 of the attorneys said. My follow-up question with that was, would the Hendry County already pre-approving it in a Attorney General opinion and previous statements from their board? Why do we need to go back now and have it revised with their approval?
Because that's what the law says. It's in the law, it's not my idea.
With Hendry,
The law
even
says
the
the applicable county, yes.
So they gave it was probably just an
So
opinion.
those are 6 bad attorneys.
wait, I'm not done. I'm not done. Because if I'm not mistaken, didn't Hendry County approve for us to get it approved?
No. Hendry County helped lobby for the bill.
Their lobbyist did it first.
But the law, again, none of this is like I made up. The law says engineer must make a determination of safety. The district, if it's wholly within one county, must get that county to approve the safety assessment.
Maybe my question is not being
Don't get me right, they're gonna do it.
What I'm saying is, after all this work we've done, can the county have the authority to say they don't want us to have golf carts within our district?
The way the law is written now, they could block it. There's not gonna happen. And by the way, whoever made that comment is correct. It is rare for a water control district to own the roads. Those 6 attorneys, I don't know which districts they represent, but in most districts, they don't own the roads. They have easements over the roads. But this is a very unusual situation. But when you pass a law, they passed it for 1,000 water control districts. They didn't say, well, Hendry County's different.
So we fall within that gray area of spectrum.
Yeah, it's unusual that a water control district owns the fee simple all the roads.
So also, in reference to what you're, I'm circling back, so we need to provide a safety assessment to Hendry County, then accept it, correct?
Yeah.
And then move forward if possible.
So let me read the statute.
Go ahead.
Section 316.212, paragraph 1, Florida statutes. Prior to the district making such designation, or allowing golf carts, the district must first determine that golf carts may safely travel on or across the roads and streets of the district, considering factors including speed, volume, character of motor vehicle using the traffic or street, and upon county approval. And if you look in section 2, the speed limits cannot be operated by drivers who are 18 years of age or less, or if they're 18 years of age or older, they must possess a valid government-issued photographic identification or driver's license. The golf carts have to have lights, they have to have rear view mirrors, All that is efficient brakes, reliable steering apparatus, safe tires, rear view mirror, red reflectorized warning devices in both the front and rear. That's all in the law.
Let me ask you, could this verbiage be amended or adjusted? Because, like, for instance, can't be in district right of ways. To get to the road, you're gonna pass the right of way.
Okay. That part I put in because historically you were drop dead against ATVs on right of way.
What I'm saying though, a golf cart, in order for a golf cart to get to a road, you're gonna, it
Well,
has to
there's
go.
a difference between crossing the right of way and driving up and down the right.
But golf cart, so let me read the sentence to you. Golf carts may not, under any circumstances, be operated on sidewalk, district, right of way. I don't know how you interpret that, John, you can tell me differently.
I'll
They have to
massage it,
be, yeah.
unless you want them on your right of way.
Well, I'm saying you got to pass the right of way to get to the road.
Do you want them on the right of way?
What I'm saying
I
is
understand your point, I'll make that change.
you can't do that without passing the right of way.
I understand, I will fix that.
Gotcha.
But now that begs the question, I put the restriction on the right of way. Do you want golf carts to be able to go up and down the right of way? I understand the crossing part, I will fix it. They can cross the right of way, I'll fix it. And then that begs the next question.
You have to, well, all I'm just saying is,
I will fix
I'll
it.
discuss it, but
You can
in
cross
order
the right
to
of way
get,
in order to access the road. So I will put that. But again, I put this language because of this board's historic opposition to use of right of way by ATVs. I assumed that you didn't want golf carts on the right side.
I think
That could be a wrong assumption.
When you say the right of way, that means the road next to the canal.
well, even that off the edge of the road.
Correct, the canal banks.
It'll be good to give people different options because, I mean, if somebody wants to take the canal bank because they feel safer, I mean, they're golf carts, they're not side by sides. If somebody wants to just ride on the edge to stay away from traffic, I mean, you're giving them a safer option by just saying you have to stay on the road. You know, then it'd be bad for somebody to get on the edge and then they get pulled over and get in trouble. So they're not ATVs, I mean, the horses are on
That
the,
would
they don't.
make it even easier to address the journey.
We can burn it. They will damage the canal banks, they go through there. Of course.
they will damage the canal banks.
Say that.
Well, we've got main roads along the coast now, and if they stay on that, they're probably okay. If they get on the main road and drive down the shoulder of the road, with those golf carts, they'll start damaging the shoulder of the road.
So are you referring to maintenance work? You say that. So they
I don't know,
literally.
they're golf carts, I mean, they can do that with a regular old truck. I mean,
How about what I meant over there now?
yeah, I don't,
Yeah, I know.
because the Irish has always been with the ATVs and stuff, and it's, I mean, golf carts, they're usually, they're 20 miles an hour, I mean, you could punch them and they're just gonna, kind of, I mean, they go out on a lot, you think about the golf courses, they're out there all day long, and I mean, I know that the golf courses, they maintain a little bit more, but, you know,
The tires are different too.
they, well, I mean, but we can't get real petty with the tires and this and that, you know. I just think it's better to give people different options if they wanna hit a canal bank, stay off the road,
Wait, well, do you think it's a good idea if they can ride by the canal banks? Or do you think they should not?
Well, they canal bank, they're on that road, run along. We drive our
Mr. Romero, so in the beginning, you're saying that it has to meet all these criteria to utilize a golf cart, certain age, certain things, this, that, and the other. Where it doesn't make sense to me on page 3, it says a golf cart can only be operated, again, you
That's in the law. Sunset, sunrise.
correct.
That's in the law.
Can't be operated at night.
But no, it can be operated. It can only be operated at, because you have to have that in order to drive on the street regardless. You have to be equipped with lights and stuff already.
That's what,
If you have that.
I'm gonna
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
If you got all that, you can do it. If you don't, then you have to keep it at home. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just asking.
Where you do have discretion, this is the big conversation, is where, which roads. For
Well,
example,
if it's up to me, I mean, we'll let the board speak. I don't think anything's off limits. That's what,
No.
that's what we have.
Yeah.
That's what we
Oh,
have
sure.
now. The only thing is, eventually, I know the sheriff department's gonna say, hey, you know what, this is getting out of hand. Boom, we're gonna have to, do something, but first and foremost, I mean, if you're gonna buy a $4,000 to $18,000 piece of equipment, I mean, I see people crossing 27 and close to. I see people, I see it everywhere, but again, I see people with tags on it. They have tags on them and the whole 9 yards, so again, but I don't see any road, to be honest with you, off limits unless I'm seeing it differently than anybody else on the board.
then I'll work with the engineer, we're gonna have to produce a graphic that's gonna be an exhibit that says, here are the roads, so just, I need a graphic of all the roads owned by Central County.
Because you gotta be able to go from one sign to the next sign to tag them and put graffiti on them.
And
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
and Larry,
Nighttime,
Paul
that's-
Shea, he wants to see a map as well. And by the way, just so that you know too, the approval process, you meet once a month. The county commission meets once a month.
They meet twice a month. County commission meets twice a month. On the east and the west of different counties.
Oh, you're right, he said the county meets on the 3rd and 17th. So county meets at minimum 7 days advance notice to put an item on the agenda. So if you were to approve something at the September Central County meeting, it would go on the October 3rd Hendry County meeting.
The only thing that I would question, John, is where the residents are gonna have to understand, because they're not under our jurisdiction on certain areas, is Pine Cone, that's not.
833. No,
Yeah.
833.
And it's,
You can't authorize
Exactly,
anything.
exactly.
on the roads.
So that's where
That would be the
resident, right, 833 as well as
Exactly.
parts of Pine Cone.
Correct.
And wouldn't we have to put certain signage around Woodland area, because doesn't the county own a portion of Woodland?
They own Woodland all the way around to Pinecone. Central
Yeah.
County gave that up years ago.
So the county is also working on something like this. That's why I talked with them, because it makes sense that what we do and what the county do be identical, if not similar. Because it would be ridiculous, you're in a golf cart, you have to stop and do something different when you cross the line.
100%.
That's why the county attorney and I spoke today. We both agreed, what we do needs to be like this.
Now, let me ask you this question, if we wanna make an amendment or change something, let's say a couple of months down the road, something pops up and we have a meeting, hey, we need to address this issue, does it have to go before the county again?
It depends what kind of, what do you, like, give me an example. If you're changing the roads?
No,
yes.
if we,
Something more than what the minimum requirement is.
yeah, like, let's say something shows up and we have to address it immediately, and we change something on here that was agreed to by the county, does it have to go before them again to be reviewed and approved?
The only thing the county is agreeing on are the roads.
Yeah.
But they,
So the roads don't change, and you're allowing all the roads. And I
So-
think the canal right of way too.
John,
So-
I'm not understanding this. We own the roads, so we're asking them if we can get approval to use the golf carts on our own road. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, that's the legislature, that's not us.
Because that's.
So within our gray area, we are one of the few, because this is why I brought this up, that own our roads. We still have to give them approval to ask them for this?
Because they're the enforcement, because they're the enforcement.
Now, let me ask this
Who
question.
lobbied for
Hold
the
on.
bill?
Let me ask you this question. If we say we're gonna approve these rules ourselves, without bringing it before the board, the Hendry County, what can they do to stop us? Because we gave approval to the sheriff's office to enforce the law on our road.
They
So
can
what
arrest
can
everybody
they
with
do to
golf
stop us from that, is my understanding.
They will arrest everybody in golf cart that goes around. Because there's no enforcement. That's what, they have no
I'm not
enforcement.
talking about the sheriff's
You
office.
know,
Yes, the
if
sheriff's
I go out
office.
there with a golf cart, and they don't approve
No,
it.
that's not what I'm talking about. The sheriff's office is doing their job. What I'm saying is the ordinance within our district on our road.
My
If this is to be if this is to be presented in court, we own the roads, we approved of these, and you're saying that we have to go to another entity, another government
This goes
agency
in front of a judge and he
that
says,
doesn't own the
the
road.
law says you have to do X. And you say, I don't wanna do it, you lose.
Oh, we arrested, oh, the supervisor
It's in the
will be.
law. I mean, I don't understand what you're saying. It's in the law. Who lobbied for the change in the law?
We did.
Hendry County, no, we
Hendry
did.
County. Go ahead.
Hendry County did. We had nothing to do with it.
It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense, John.
Well, we can hire lobbyists next year and change the law.
No, we're not gonna do all that. What I'm saying is this is a lot of gray area.
No, it's not gray. It's in black and white.
Daniel, they have no enforcement.
It's not
That's
gray.
not, I'm not talking about the sheriff's office. They're doing their job.
You know, in the roads,
That has
in the
nothing
roads.
to do with them.
Now, the sheriff.
This is something else.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
No, I
They have
understand.
the authority.
I understand. They have
to enforce.
Yes, yes, yes. They're doing their job. They have nothing to do with that.
I think we're fine, I think everything they got within there is reasonable.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not great.
yeah.
There's nothing that we have to amend or even try to fight for.
They're working with us, they're working with, they're helping us.
I mean, just keep it where the community can enjoy it, I mean, give them as much rights as they can have to it, and, you know.
All right, anything else with the golf cart? So we can continue with this meeting?
So, this is a resolution.
We need to approve
So
it.
you can disapprove it, approve it, or delay it for another meeting.
Okay, do you have a motion to approve the resolution for the golf cart?
Yes, motion.
We have to make sure whenever it comes to the right of ways and stuff, that that's gonna get addressed, I mean.
So, there's an exhibit to here that says, the resolution says, you can use all the roads that are on Exhibit A. So when we create Exhibit A, it's maybe like a CAD map with a layer over an area, something very clear. And then you can just call Shane. and let him know what you want to do. That will suffice.
I mean, if we can agree to the canal banks and stuff, to where we just give another option besides just the road itself, and even like the edges of the road, they just don't wanna rise on the road.
We can evaluate it.
Yeah.
Try to get that budget, even if it's out, evaluate it.
We want to do all the roads plus the edge of
And maybe I'll, that include the sides of the road?
I don't think-
Make sure,
I don't-
which is gonna be all right with.
I don't agree with the canal thing, and let me say why. If they crash or something, no, I'm saying if they crash or something happened within that canal,
What happens if they crash on the road?
Or there's a horse on the canal that falls in the hole. It's like.
I guess it was my meeting, right?
Complication, it's all liability, walking down it, driving down it. it's-
All right, let's get off of this resolution crap. Let's keep going.
When you drive my flag home, I see a lot of cars going to the canals up there.
Mayor, what do you need? Just want clarity. that's all.
Sure.
So,
100% clear.
got the roads, all roads owned by so on the rights of way. Yay or nay? Right now it's prohibited in this road.
Well, it has to be, because you can't get on.
I can say unless you have to cross it to access a road. Okay, so that,
Okay.
put that aside, we can fix that.
Fix it.
Question is, can they go up and down the right of way?
I would say in the beginning, yes, and then we can evaluate it 6 months later to see if there's any kind of erosion or damage being done, compromise being done, we make adjustments from there.
Yeah.
But everything should be on the table in the beginning. Benefit of doubt. And then hopefully Daniel gets a horse on the canal bank. All right,
Yeah.
there you go.
Woo! All right.
Bro, they used to ride UTVs all throughout this thing, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, 20 deep, bro. 20 deep.
I just emailed all the board members a copy of the statute, it's only one paragraph, so you can read it for yourself. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, with that being said, John, how would you like the motion?
So what I'm hearing, just to summarize, is you approve the resolution with the modification that access to and use of canal rights-of-way be included.
Yes,
So then we will motion, and a second, and then a vote.
All right, can we get a motion on the floor with that to use the right-of-ways as well as the canal banks? We have a motion. We have a second.
second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, 5-0. Approval. All right, John, for the proposed budget, is that you?
Budget committee just met before this. Recommended adoption of the tentative budget. Be the final budget. It's the same, the numbers are the same.
So can we get a motion on the floor to approve the final budget for 2023-2024?
Motion.
And the tentative budget, yes, correct. We have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 5-0. Resolution of submission to the state of Florida for the grant application. B.
So, this is, so we got a $4 million grant last year from the state of Florida, Resiliency Florida program. Okay, so this is now, that was the 2022-2023 cycle. Now, this fall, we started the 2023-2024 cycle. We've hired Erin Deedy again to assist us, $2,500. She goes after millions. In order to give her the authority to go lobby, she needs this resolution that says, we hereby board go forward, we're seeking these grants. So that resolution is to give her the authority to go forward with the grants. This will be part of our application. DEP wants to see that the governing head, through a resolution, wants the grant.
So can we get a motion on the floor to allow the firm to submit to go after grant applications?
Aye.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, Mr. Romero, that passes 5-0. Next would be Supervisor Self, F and G off the table, or
F is on, G is off.
F is on,
Yep.
F is on the table, G is off the table.
Yeah.
Okay, you have the floor.
Right. I was contacted by Mr. Ramos, and as we all know, he was trespassed from Central County for a year originally, and then a year and a couple months later, he attended our landowner meeting, and within him attending it, he was arrested. And well, through his court and all that, his arrest for the second thing for being supposedly trespassing Central County property after being trespassed is dropped because he was never given a permanent trespass. It was a year. So he hasn't been able to use the mailboxes, the facilities and stuff, and so on, and he was wanting to come back.
Wait.
Yeah. So my thing is that, he here he did his year, he completed whatever the court's asked him to, and then the second time he was arrested, it was kind of a bad deal because he was never served with the paper, and then whenever he was arrested, I came to Central County and I asked them for the document that shows he's permanently was banned from here. Central County did not have it. 2 weeks later, and that was on November 4th. Let me see. I think November 4th. Yeah. Yeah, November 4th was whenever I came. And then a couple weeks later, they put the new one on that said that he was permanently banned. And I found it very strange to even see that because and I asked Rebecca about it if she had any documents that showed that he was permanently banned from Central County, and she didn't have them. And I took a picture with it with my phone, so I have a time and date and so on. And then a couple weeks later, whenever I came in, I seen a picture of his face there, and I said, well, something's different. And I looked what the expiration was. It said permanent, or it had no expiration. So
That's right.
my thing is that it was already kind of sketchy to begin with, because that's something that Central County should have had on record prior to him being arrested, but they did not. They was given the record after. So my whole thing is that this is not about what he did or what he didn't do. He served his time, he paid his debt to society. You know, the second arrest ended up getting thrown out because he was never served with anything, and Central County didn't have anything on record either. So I'm just saying if the ban could be lifted, there's nobody else in Monterey that's had something like that ever put on there.
Now, let me ask my one and only, my one first question. When he was first banned,
Yep.
was he banned for a year or was he
A
banned
year.
for?
August 25th, he was allowed to come back. I have an original document that I got. They had the one on I have it in my phone, that's why I took it, the timestamp and everything. Then after, so he never came back. And then whenever the landowner elections came around in October? October, the end of October, he sat into the meeting, and then that's whenever somebody, I'm guessing,
Somebody mentioned that he was, I don't remember, somebody came to me and said that he had an indefinite
who told you that?
trespassing. It was during that October meeting.
Yeah, but somebody,
And I asked the young lady that was there as our officer
Uh-huh.
if she would check it.
yeah,
And when she pulled it up, it said indefinite. But I don't have that copy. You're correct. You're
Right.
correct on that. I didn't have that copy. And that's the only reason why I asked her, and that was brought up to me during that meeting. I don't remember who approached me, I'm being honest.
Yeah. 'Cause
So, but that's what was spoken to me.
right.
And I asked a question, and it did come up on their system. So then I requested a physical copy because I never received one.
Who gave you the physical copy?
I received it from the sheriff's office.
You know from who?
I can look. I mean,
Yeah, because the thing is, it's like, you know, I know that,
we asked it. I'm sorry, we asked from the records, so they're the ones that,
yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
one of the guys picked it up over. They were over there.
yeah. So the thing is that the board never banned him indefinitely.
No,
It was
that's,
for-
no,
it
that's
was-
why I asked that
It was for a
question.
year only, and then after he got arrested, then that kind of came up.
No, because
about.
I was under the impression after the incident that happened here, we agreed to ban him completely, not to come back. That was what I was under the impression.
For a year, August 25th was allowed to come back, and he came, and then that's why I'm trying to, because what it is like, there's issues in there, I don't know whose fault it is, or whatever, the thing is that, you know, he was served with a paper that said August 25th, he abided by that, he did what the court said, he even stayed months out of the meeting, and then he came to the landowner, and then he was arrested. So, the problem could have been with sheriff's department, but the thing is, on our end, we have to fix whatever the board did. If it was August 25th,
Well, how about
August
both of
25th. If it was permanent, well then, it's permanent, but I don't remember the board ever doing it permanent. That's why I'm asking the board, because I wasn't on the board at the
I
time.
was under that impression that it was permanent.
The copy that they give you,
That's what
what
I'm
it
saying.
says,
It's there. It's on there. It says that it's indefinite.
indefinite.
But the original one that was produced to you by the
The
sheriff,
first one was up to August 25th of
Correct.
that following year.
and then the other one was produced to Central County after he was arrested the next week. Central County never had that on record.
So when I'm saying, okay, my question is to you, Chris, is if it was, let's say it was indefinite, right? And Central County wasn't given the proper paperwork at that time. He was still trespassed for indefinite. So what,
I wouldn't know that. Did y'all, because the one that says indefinite has to be the board, not the sheriff department. They don't make that decision.
No, the sheriff's office doesn't make that decision.
Correct.
The board agreed that our spokesperson for us is the chair. So that's why I asked, because from my understanding, he was banned for indefinitely, was what I was under.
Is that on paperwork anywhere?
That's something.
Because that doesn't show, that's what we're trying to figure out, because it doesn't say indefinite anywhere. It was a year, and think about it, a whole year passed by, there was no issue. And then when he got arrested, it's like, oh, we got a paper. It's like, no, that's sketchy as hell. It just doesn't make sense. And, and for a guy to say, like I said, I don't excuse what he did. That's not what this should have turned into that conversation. The thing is that it was a year. He did what he had to do. The guy wants to use the facilities. I don't know anybody ever that had to go through something like that either. And we've had people before, prior when I used to go to these meetings, those people that they threatened to shoot board members and stuff. Which is a different board, and but I think it's a little bit excessive, and that's cruel and unusual punishment to a community member because he said the F word again. Towards the manager.
Chris, I got a question.
Yeah.
And John, this is a question for you. When you have an indefinite restrictor order, had to do with the community or the area that you live in? This order.
The trespass has to do with Central County owned property.
Group. Central County group everywhere.
So he can't run out banks, he can't.
Well, but that's something that he needs to take care of, not us over here.
No, of course, we have to. You talk about the trespass.
No, the order he got from the judge saying that's definitely not allowed to come back here.
Well, that's the whole thing, is that was never given to him. So for that to even have any life, it has to be served to you. He was never served with it ever, neither was Central County. Central County had the original one of a 1-year ban. He did all that.
I'll just get we're going in circles.
Yeah.
So the court said it's not permanent, it ends on a certain
No,
date.
they did the original one.
Okay.
You gotta remember, he
So where did the permanent one come from?
after he got arrested at the landowner meeting.
But it came from the court.
Yes.
So let's say tonight, they say, yes, he's suffered enough, let's get rid of it. We have to go to the judge.
The sheriff department, right?
I don't do criminal, but I mean, just think about what
How would that work?
So you want?
Yeah.
I apologize. So,
No, please.
I vaguely remember the case. I have to look back. Originally, I believe it was banned for a year. I believe somebody changed it. I don't know if it was the manager. They requested an indefinite trespass forever. So we did so. If his probation has anything, or if he's done, that's between him and the judge. Currently, he is trespassed with the Adair County Sheriff's Office. I believe a while ago y'all wanted to know, y'all wanted to be able to do the trespasses. Well, the way we see it is, if your interim manager calls me and say, I want them trespassed, we trespass. If somebody higher than her who controls said property says, I want it removed, we remove it. So the Adair County Sheriff's Office, I believe, has an indefinite trespass against them. And if you tell me to remove that, I remove that. It's the same thing as if you sign a property owner agreement with us, and you allow us to trespass people. I can go all day and trespass everybody in this room, but the minute you turn around and say, we want them untrespassed, it's not my property.
Yeah.
That's very helpful. So that means
But we need to.
it's up to you. Decide. It doesn't matter what happens.
No, but we do.
Where do you go from here?
But we still gotta get, because this is the thing we gotta make sure, because you gotta remember, this is one thing that really upsets the community. These type of strange things that happen, it's like I said, somebody.
But the district has zero legal obligation to provide notice to Mr. Ramos about anything from Hendry County or the court. So why don't we focus on the real issue?
Right.
Notice.
We don't
What
typically
do you wanna
provide
do?
the trespass copy to the people requesting the trespass. What we get from you is a statement. It says, I want him gone from the property.
Yeah.
We type up a case and
He
then we
gets
go
served,
serve them.
right.
If you later request a copy of that trespass, we have no problem
Right,
delivering it.
but if that trespass, I'm sorry to interrupt, but if that trespass is modified from a year to permanent, does it?
We have to reserve him,
And
yes.
he was never served, and neither would,
That's something.
and Central County would still have to have something on file, somebody has to file that.
No,
No.
you would not know. So you're not a board member and you're sitting here.
Mhm.
And the chair says, I want him trespassed.
Yep.
I either ask for her name, date of birth, or I know it, I type it in, I give you the paper, I drive off after I get a statement from him, I write the case, done. If he or anybody else requests a copy of it, we have to provide it, and we would. the only person legally obligated to give to is the person being trespassed. So if he was never provided with a second copy, I don't know.
Well, he wasn't, that's why his charges
Yeah,
were dropped.
which-
That's why I'm
that's a
just
whole
trying to
nother-
figure out too, who
yeah.
from here did that, because that's one problem that we've always talked about with like trespassing people. And then, I mean, that's a very questionable thing on who
And
did
some
that.
of the,
'Cause I
some,
mean, I don't
some
think
of the
nobody on the
things-
board did that, because the
I
trigger.
don't believe so. I think it came from, I believe, your manager. I'm not 100% sure, but I would have to
Because
check.
the
but I
original
believe-
trespass came from,
Because we would
from the
just,
board, from chairman, or,
It came from.
we would not just change
Yeah,
it to change it. That's not
Yeah.
our say.
Right. I'm saying, that's why we gotta make sure, because if let's say the chairman, he's the one that he has to push in that no trespass.
Right.
We as a board gotta make sure that the manager doesn't then call and says, hey, I want it permanent, because they shouldn't have that, because it's the board that makes
And
it.
to be completely honest, to us, unless we know or the law enforcement officer knows otherwise, we're gonna go with whatever the manager says. What I would say to you is, what, I know you brought up a few meetings ago that, you know, we want to be able to, the trespassing, you wanted to be able to do it,
As a whole,
as a whole.
instead of one.
Well, that's gonna have to be.
Yeah, it's a little different, but
But
you all
yeah,
you could,
talked about it for hours and hours, you adopted a policy
and didn't
on
we-
trespass.
but I have no idea what that policy is, so if any
Yeah,
of your
it'll never
employees
be.
call me
Yeah.
and ask, we're gonna.
Yeah, because
do
I'll get with
trespass.
y'all about it, because I wanna know who's the one that moved it to permanent.
And you could do a public records request, we
Exactly.
could provide that,
Make
that's
a
not a
public
problem.
records request to the sheriff's office and you'll find out.
As far as the trespassing thing, if you said your manager could trespass people, and we have to know that policy that you said, I have to know that the person
Yes.
controls said house or property. So if you now say the manager cannot, and I can't take a trespass from her, I have to know that, because as far as we stand, you go to a gas station and the employee wants somebody trespassed. Unless somebody higher than an employee calls me and says, no, we want it taken off, or don't do it, or my policy is otherwise, because at that time, you have changed it to your manager's to us, no longer the one who controls said property.
Yeah, so, and just so that we're not confused any more than we are now. What the policy says is, at this meeting,
Mhm.
this board decides. In the clubhouse,
Uh-huh.
the manager still, in areas where there's not a board sitting there,
Right.
the
Okay.
manager has to have
The
that
other thing
authority.
that can happen is, you control said property. As far as the Hendry County Sheriff's Office is concerned, said property is different addresses.
Yeah.
So if you say he can't come here, we can trespass him from here. You say he can go to the rest of the Hendry Central County places, couldn't care less, that's no problem. If you say he could go to the rest, or not go to the rest, and he can only come here, that's your business, your property. So you can set that however you want. Any policy changes you know that take control of trespassing from anybody, we need to know about, just because
Yeah.
if an employee on a canal bank calls me and says, hey, we want them to trespass, as far as I'm concerned, they're in control of said property, because they work for you. So if that's changed, we do need to know about it. The other final thing is, if you give it back to your manager or interim manager, and she provides you a list, emailed every one of you and says, this person was trespassed, and here's a copy of the trespass. That gives her the power to do so if you change your policy. Lets her say, we want these people trespassed, and then here she is, here you are, you come back and say, we vote, and say no. You contact me, we voted, and we said we want it removed, we take it off, and it's no longer valid. So you can do layers as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right now, we any one of us can trespass anybody that threatens.
Okay,
Right.
now you're, now we're.
And I'm sorry to confuse all of this.
Let's get back to this one first.
Just finish your issue, it'll never be dealt with.
So,
You-
no, yeah, because I just had to finish like why I'm saying what I'm saying, is very important to why that.
But you're asking if
To
you
lift
want to
the-
vote to lift.
the ban and allow them to come back.
I'm sure, because if you don't do that now, you're gonna be talking.
Yeah, no,
about-
I know, but I still had to say,
Yeah.
it's very important, that's something I had to take up with the sheriff's department. But yeah, that's what it is, just to lift this ban, allow them to come back, and use our facilities, it's like anything, if anybody gets out of line,
We have a motion on the floor to remove the trespass of Mr. Reynolds.
make a motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Alright. Next one.
So,
let's go back. My understanding of this, you still want Mr. Ramos trespass from all of Central County property.
It was a year, and now
That's what
somebody
we approved.
converted over into permanent, and that's what we don't know who did
That's what it was
it.
approved.
But
Nobody-
he's asking another question.
I am
He's asking, do you
asking, are
want
we
it limited
upholding
to here?
this?
Yeah, we maintaining the trespass, 4-1.
Okay,
For all of,
for all Central County property. And I'm gonna be completely honest.
That's what it was.
Canal banks are a little kind of, we're not going to arrest somebody on a canal bank unless they're digging it or fish farming it or something. So give me a little bit there, I'm gonna arrest everybody.
Any questions?
Liability never leaves.
Mr. Merrill? H, go ahead and scratch it. I looked it over. I'm good with it.
Can't do this.
Fine. Then I, Mr. Santana, you want to discuss that?
Yes, sir. Daniel Santiago is not here. Moreno is not here. So I'll wait till they come back.
no, you have a
He's
warrant.
on.
He's gone.
Wait. Daniel here, they can oppose.
But you have a quorum.
Yeah.
We can't stop the meeting. There's a quorum. I'm sure they'll be here soon. Did they leave?
No, they went to the restroom.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to say that.
Go ahead, Flo. Go ahead, now you.
Yes, sir. I was approached by a lady, and the lady told me she's handicapped, resident.
Sure.
And she would like to use the pool on the head clubhouse. We don't have handicap seats. I can see. I didn't know that. She told me many places they have a handicap seat on the pool of the person that seat. Then they turn around the seat and it goes into the water. If we come to Hawaii, here, that clubhouse pool is one for her. And she would like to go there with her husband. Her husband is not handicapped, so she's handicapped. That way they both can enjoy the pool. I said to her, I want to bring you. If only both, I have no problem. I think it's a good idea for me to have a handicapped seat. She goes there.
Any questions, comments, or anything before we take it to a vote?
Yes. That's for the handicap chair in and out of the pool.
Yes, sir.
Oh, so it's like mechanical.
Yeah, get up and sit you in.
Oh, that's
Our new budget starts in October for what we already just approved, correct?
The fiscal year starts October. So the motion, any other question on that?
Do we know what the cost of that's gonna be more or less? Shouldn't be too much.
That was my question, when the new budget starts?
Yeah.
Because we just approved that budget, and I don't think that was in there.
So if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
if you approve it in the new budget, by the time it's installed, the pool will not be open, if I'm not mistaken. Then the pool closes at a certain month, I forget what month it is.
It's the first week of November.
We got a little bit of time.
So do we have a motion on the floor to, any other questions on that? We have a motion on the floor to approve handicap pool access.
Motion.
We have a motion on the floor, do we have a second? All right, doesn't pass.
Remember, now things are, so if you, let's say you spend 80,000 on the handicap trip, which I think is a nice thing, then you have to take that 80,000 from something else.
Yeah.
Or you're using surplus. So that's, that's why you gotta pay a lot of attention to the budget, like Dane was said. Just the.
So how much it costs? Handicap seat?
You don't know,
Whatever it
that's what I'll
costs,
have to propose.
you have to take it from something
When you
else.
go against it, you don't know how much it costs.
You gotta tell us.
we can't agree to it and it
I'm
comes
gonna
out
find
to
out.
100,000.
I'm gonna find out.
100,000.
Yeah.
You have two choices, either take
Stick to our
100,000
budget.
from some other project, or you go into the surplus.
100,000 for us.
I'm just saying, man.
Go.
I'm just giving you an example. You can't start adding things because somebody, this is a situation. You gotta take it from something else. That's what the budget is.
So Bob, so we'll move on.
Okay, no, I have the, no, I have another thing to bring up. Two employees.
That's already, we know that,
Can we make one comment?
we already know that, that's already, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's already.
Can I just want to go back to that, if we go back to the handicap chair, okay, 1 second. Just the cost of handicap chair, it will be 3,000 and 6,000 just the chair. Plus these guys, which you're looking at least $6,000, $7,000, $8,000.
That's not too much.
Well, again, we have to borrow money from someplace else to do that.
Yeah.
If you're
And
really
we gotta make sure that our pool is really old, and we don't know what's the integrity of it. We might drill 4 holes and then we have a $100,000 problem, and that's,
There you go.
and that's, we gotta, I mean, the handicap, you know, seems not bad, but we need to consider stuff too. Remember, that pool's really old.
So let's go on. Thank you.
Okay, I try my best. Okay.
Supervisor report, Supervisor Shelton will start off.
Yeah, what I was just gonna talk about, which was on the agenda that I moved over, was about for us to do some modifications to the employee handbook, that all of us, we should just look through it. You know, I know that there are some holidays that's not on there that Central County takes. And if Central County, the board decides to keep it on, we need to go ahead and amend that. You know, look at just everything in general. There's a lot of stuff that's kind of outdated. I think it's good for us to just go through it, like Camaro said, either we're gonna have to burn it, start new, or modify it a little bit at a time, or amend it, however it's gonna have to go through. And then, you know, take a board decision on that. That's all I got.
I think as a board, we need to prepare ourselves for what's to come in these upcoming months, especially with hurricanes saying that they're coming in, and us being short-staffed here. We don't want to have a 2017 again, so we do want to be on high alert. You know, reach out to a lot of our advocates, see if we can bring resources to our community, and start preparing for that. Then to agree with what Supervisor Self said is I think it is time that we do revise the rules, the handbook, policies and procedures that are outdated, and we revise some of the day-to-day operations and hardcore policies so that moving forward after us and years to come that we're very transparent and very detailed on our reports, so that if we go back years later, we can look at what was happening at 5 o'clock on Monday morning, you know. So I think that's something that does need to be addressed, and that's it. That's all I got.
Chairman, after that, I got one more thing I forgot. I'll do it now. Okay, one thing I was gonna talk about too was about the staff gauges. Because I was speaking with Rebecca and I said that, you know, pumping operations is more than just cranking pumps and dropping it down to the bottom. We know that whenever you do a long, extensive amount of pumping, it can compromise the sides of your banks. You pull a lot of sediment towards your bank, and then even letting the staff know to where, I don't know if we maybe have to send them somewhere to where they understand what your water table is and then what your surface water is going to be, because just pumping water, I mean, if we have 80,000 acres and we're pumping it to the bottom, you're having 80,000 acres of water table trying to get it to your lowest point. And then, you know, within the operations and the fuel, sometimes you pump so much water, like we pumped it to the mud, and today it's just as high. And for them to understand that's the water table, and that's where your staff gauges are going to really help. So every time, you know, you keep record of it and so forth. Yeah. Oh, and I spoke with Rebecca, and I told her that, you know, any weekend or any days that I have off, if I could come, I don't know, I have to ask John if, you know, if y'all need help running pumps, you know, I mean, that's what I've done since I was 1838. I've always done water management and stuff. So if they need any help, could us as board members, could we assist them with without, we're not gonna get paid or nothing like that? Is there something we have to sign as far as liability, or, we could, whatever she needs from us, we could work just like an employee under her
Yeah, I'm
to
going
help support the staff?
simple form, you're a volunteer like you would volunteer for
Correct.
anything.
Yeah,
There's workers' comp and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
that
okay,
just sensitive to. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
okay, yeah, that's all I have.
So any one of us can do it.
Under the direction of the
Under
manager.
the direction of the manager.
For sure.
Yeah,
Work on it.
yes. You can be a volunteer, just like, a volunteer for the fire department.
Hey, I will volunteer to patrol the levee. Can I do that? Give me a pickup truck, I patrol the levee.
No, you
No.
won't be a pickup truck.
You need
I make
a,
sure everything is safe.
This is charity work. So,
I love patrolling,
I have nothing to bring a report. Mr. Santana, you have something to report?
I was thinking, excuse me,
He said that's dangerous.
I was thinking, I like to be fair, I like to be fair, I like to be, I believe in justice, you know what I'm saying? What Chris wrote about with the Ramos, can I discuss that, or that is a donkey?
I mean, they voted,
Chris, thinking that, I don't know what the rest of the board, thinks, but let's say that we would like, or we bring up next time, that we can take the trespassing off of the clubhouse. So it's not allowed to go to the clubhouse, right? So maybe he likes to play basketball,
Yeah,
or they like to do pool, you know what I'm saying? Like any other resident.
yeah.
Bring that up.
Mhm.
I believe I would second it. Because,
I'll tell you my honest
I know
opinion.
him, I have talked to him many times.
Yeah.
I advise him, please, this is bad.
Yeah.
And he said, you have a temper, and sometimes when the temper gets hot, with the things that we're supposed to do. So I think, I tell you, you bring up, taking the trespassing out of the clubhouse, so he can use pools, whatever, use the pool, whatever, I would say.
Yeah. I'm all
No
for-
here, no here.
Well,
I
that's
don't
what-
get involved here.
That's, and, your civil rights, if you're gonna give somebody
No,
that.
no,
give it all back, not part of it.
but that way, it's an opportunity for him to use the clubhouse, and he can always at the clubhouse.
I mean, if he'd like to sit down in a public meeting, which every community member should be allowed to. I don't think we should pick and choose certain things like that. If we're gonna give him back the right, give it back, if he messes up the second time, you know what, the punishment gets worse. I mean, there's stuff for that. I don't think that, to me, that's,
That's an idea like you.
no, I know, it's all or none,
Okay.
Anything else, Andrew?
No, that's it.
Mr. Moreno, anything else?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
Going back to Mr. Santiago about the handbook, that's something that really we need an HR person to work on that. It's not just us.
Yeah, of course.
We're not into that business. Obviously, none of us in HR on this board. And it'd be a great idea to start working that right away, since we're starting hiring those 3 new vacancies that we have, plus manager for the position that is open right now. So then we do start working on that. That's that. Number 2, I want to thank the community. We got 12 here today, which was the second time we had 12 here on the floor. And we need to spread the word out there that we get together, and then for them to come out. Sometimes it takes longer than usual, but they need to be involved to find out what's going on. Because what we discuss over here is not the same. One of you guys go out there and say, they discussed this and that. When you go from the A to B, C, D, and F, is not the message that gets disturbed so bad that sometimes they take on the right side or the wrong side. So, I want to make sure that everybody the community to come up. I know it's hard, and some of the members of the community have been here so long that they might want it, they might even not interested to come out, but they need to get involved more on what's going on over here. And don't forget, October 1st, we got a new budget. We need to keep track of the other numbers. We cannot get out of line on that, okay? We cannot be on this predicament that we're in right now, that moving forward, October 1st, we need to keep track of, October 1st, with all the numbers, so that way it doesn't get a surprise to everybody like we are right now. That's what I have.
All right, thank you. That being said, thank you, everybody. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.